Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to another Q8 pilot stream. It is 2000 hours local time here in Kuwait City. Time for our stream today. And today we are going to be taking a look at the FSLabs A321. Now, the name FSLabs rings a lot of memories, some of which are not good ones, but we'll talk a little about that during the stream. But before we delve into the details, let me welcome all of you guys here in chat. Rand Cooley, Benny, Renan D. Oliveira, Dougal McTavish, Direct to Sim, Captain Andre, welcome aboard. Glad to have you with us this evening. And thank you guys very much for the support and for being here. So, the FSLabs A321 recently received an MSFS 2024 compatibility update. So this aircraft was natively built for P3D. It's actually was there from the FSX days, if I'm not mistaken. But it is available. It was available for P3D. I have used the aircraft in P3D, and right off the bat, I'll tell you that it is an in-depth simulation of the Airbus A321. The good thing is we have something to compare this aircraft to in 2024, which is the Phoenix A320. Now, this being a different variant, so this is the A321, a slightly larger aircraft with longer range, obviously better fuel capacity. But let's go ahead and first begin by examining the 3D model and the texturing. Now, I have found the 3D model to be an authentic representation of the A321 with some very nice detailing across this aircraft. Of course, today we are using the IAE variant engines as opposed to the CFM. It ships with both, and you have the SL, the Sharklets, and the the regular one, I guess. Now, in terms of the actual 3D modeling, the exterior 3D modeling, I found it to be very good, but I will say this, that it's not excellent, simply because if you look at the 3D modeling in the Phoenix, I found it to be slightly more detailed with slightly better texturing. So overall, I like the details. You can look at the landing gear here. You can look at the details. Very, very nicely done. So maybe I'll give the Phoenix aircraft just a little bit. It's a notch up in terms of the exterior 3D modeling. But this is really, really good work by FSLabs in terms of the 3D model. Here we can look at then the underneath the aircraft. Again, you can see all the things that you expect to see underneath, or the belly of the A320. Again, you can look at fuel drain vent, very nicely done, nice texturing overall, very high fidelity, I would say. Is it better than Phoenix in terms of the 3D exterior 3D modeling? I found that the Phoenix aircraft is slightly better, but this one is, again, look at the details there. Very, very nice. Just really, really a great attention to detail there with all the decals, all the numbers there on the parts, the rivets, the bolts. Very, very nice texturing overall. So I really do like what FSLabs has done here in terms of the texturing. It'll take a look here at the wing. Very nicely done. Again, very, very detailed. Look at the very, very nice details there. And we can also see here the strobe lights. And the nav lights, again, very, very nice, very high fidelity. Again, if you zoom in, you can see the little imperfections there, but nothing too serious. Some of these things I didn't see on the Phoenix model. So overall, I would probably give it, on the exterior modeling, I will give it probably a an 8 out of 10 in terms of the modeling. Now, normally what I do at this point is I go to the cockpit, but for this aircraft, I'm going to go to the cabin first. The reason being is that there is no way that you can go to the cabin unless you are in drone mode, which is, it comes maybe as a disappointment for a lot of you cabin lovers. I don't really mind it much, and I don't really care much for the passenger cabin, but this is a one economy class configuration, and you can see here the galley. I mean, it looks okay. It's not the highest fidelity possible, but it looks nice. Again, some nice details there, and it's a one class configuration there. You can see it's all economy. Some nice usage of, I don't think that the overhead cabins should look shiny like that. I could be mistaken, but that's how they've done it. And overall, I think it looks okay. It's not that bad. But I found that the Phoenix counterpart is much nicer in terms of the passenger cabin. There again, we have the door. The main door is open now, ready to board our passengers, and some nice details there. All right. So with that out of the way, let's hop into the cockpit. This is where everything really matters, is right here. And I have found that the cockpit to be of very high quality texturing overall. I still slightly like the Phoenix aircraft. In some ways, I like the colors of this aircraft better, better than the Phoenix. So I like the coloring here better. But the overall, I think in terms of the fidelity of the textures, I think Phoenix still looks slightly better. But again, if you look here, if you zoom in, you can see all the nice details there on the overhead panel. And you can see it as well here on the glare shield. I mean, very, very nicely done. Some very nice detailing on the buttons and the switches. And if we go down here, again, you'll notice how beautifully those panels are textured, quite detailed. Some some tear and wear is visible here. You can see that this is a used aircraft, so not all the way clean, and it does look used right here. I think you can see it here. Again, the test of time shows on those panels. Very nice details. Again, look at those bullets there. Very, very nice. Or the screws, beg your pardon. Again, you can take a look here at the pedal. This is, again, very nicely done, very nicely textured, very nicely modeled. I really like that. You've got your flashlight there. And, of course, you have the oxygen mask there. And you can also have the sunshades. You can open the cockpit door if you want. So there we go. We can open the cockpit door. And they also modeled that little switch here, which you need to click in order to close the window again. There we go. Window is closed now. We have to make sure that it's closed. Otherwise, we'll have issues in flight. So overall, in terms of the texturing, I think that they've done a fairly good job modeling the aircraft, both inside and out. Overall, I feel that the Phoenix has better texturing, but this one is not bad at all. I think it's, again, it's high fidelity, crisp, very sharp textures, and the coloring is quite representative of what you'd see in a real-world Airbus cockpit, as you can see here. Very, very nicely done. Now, the electronic flight bag is, first of all, before we go to the electronic flight bag, I want to say something about their FSL control center. Now, this is where you go to install the FSLabs. Obviously, we have the Sharklets here and the A321. Those are separate installs. And you can also go to the liveries, and there's a bunch of liveries here that you can select from. Installation is quite straightforward, so it's nice to have all these liveries by default within the control center. And there is the airline packs as well, which provides more specific configurations for the different for those different airlines. Of course, we have the settings here. There's nothing there other than my SimBrief username and the login information for the control center. The installation was straightforward. Download the installer or download the control center, provide your credentials, and it will automatically install everything for you. So very straightforward stuff there. And the electronic flight bag, you can just type in here any number here. Let's take a quick look here at the electronic flight bag. Now, we'll get to this in a minute, and we'll be using it for our flight. Suffice it to say, we have the documentation here. So this is just links to the aircraft documentation. So this is all the manuals here. You have the introduction, and it will just take you, which is nice, so you can study the aircraft without really having another window open. So I do like the fact that they have all their manuals here. Those are quite details. They explain everything in detail. So nice touch there to have the documentation available within the electronic flight bag. The connections is where you go to connect the different ground elements, open the aircraft doors and what have you. And you have the services. Now, this aircraft offers very, very good integration with GSX. I will show you part of it. We're not going to show all of it just in the interest of time, but I will show you exactly how you can use GSX with this aircraft. Maybe we'll do something like the refueling, and we'll leave the rest of it. I will rely a lot on my memory of this aircraft because it is essentially the same aircraft that was ported from P3D, but of course it has a lot more features, especially the EFB in-depth really system simulation. So if you click here on services, you'll see that this actually activates the services at GSX. So you have all the GSX menu here. You don't really need to use the one here. In fact, you cannot use the one here because it says the GSX is in remote control mode. So that said, we have the briefing here. The briefing is going to be nothing but our SimBrief plan, which doesn't seem to have loaded yet. For some reason. I've noticed that it takes a little bit of time for the SimBrief plan to load here. You do have access to the aircraft checklist here as well, so everything is available here. Mass and balance, we'll use that, of course. Takeoff, landing. The ACARS is actually very well implemented, and this aircraft has full integration with say intentions. So if you want to use the ACARS system and say intentions, full integration there. Maintenance is where you maintain the aircraft, and you'll see that there is a number of failures that can happen. So this is for maintenance, but you also have a failures module here. Of course, you have Navigraph chart integration. So if you click here, now normally if you click on import, it should bring the data. I don't know why the download takes a bit of time for it to come through, but eventually it does come through. But yeah, I'm not sure why it takes time for it to load. Now, the tech log is something that is available on the real aircraft, and I've looked over some of the real-world footage of the aircraft, and I've asked a real-world pilot if this is true to life, and he said this is actually, he was very surprised that this was actually simulated because this is true to life. What you see here, you have the registration number and you've got the daily check next to in 1 day in 11 hours. So this is actually very, very accurate simulation of what happens in real life. It looks like there is a smoke maintenance message. The smoke maintenance message, TSM steps not carried out, deferred level 2 raised, dispatched IAW, clearance date is 16/6. So expires in 9 days. So you've got that. And then you have the fault history. You can through the entire tech log here within the electronic flight bag. With that said, of course, we can't ignore failures. There is a number of failures. Fire protection. Looks like we have something here. Fire protection is like one active. So there's one issue there. And if we go to the maintenance, I'm not sure if we can, you can clean the cockpit. So yeah, there's one issue there. But we'll leave it. I don't think it prevents us from flying the aircraft. I really am not sure what this is. Fire protection sits SDF channel 1 fault. So yeah, there's that's I think related to the one we saw in the tech log. So yeah, so we definitely do have a very in-depth system of failures, maintenance, and this is again, it goes to say about the fidelity and the depth of system simulation on the A320, A321 by FSLabs. I'm not sure what's happening. Oh, all right, now we're good. Okay, that's MSFS 2024 acting up. All right. That said, ladies and gents, you'll see that the jetway is automatically connected, by the way, when you load the aircraft. And yeah, I'm sorry I'm not paying too much attention to chat today. And normally this is how it is during my first look reviews, is that I try to focus a lot more on the aircraft and not so much on chat, especially during the beginning of those streams. But I will attend to chat once we are in cruise or when we're climbing. I'll take a look at the chat here. And seems like you're really... it seems like a really tough sail considering Phoenix and all that. Looking forward to see what have in store here. All right. That's had some malware in the past. Yes, Gabo, we will address, I will be addressing that during the stream today. So that is something we will definitely be addressing, and we cannot complete the stream without addressing this. So just relax, get a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and I will give you my honest view on the subject, and definitely we will be discussing it. Okay, so that said, folks, let's go ahead and start prep the aircraft for our flight today from Atlanta to Orlando in the US of A. First thing first, we're going to make sure that the engine modes selector is on normal and both engine switches are in the off position. Flaps are retracted and the landing gear is down. We're going to come over here and we're going to make sure both wipers are off, which they are. We're going to look at battery 1 and 2. We have more than 25 volts. We are good to go. Battery 1, battery 2, and external power. Now, the sounds in this aircraft are quite nice, I have to say. So we have that turned on. And I'm going to reduce the volume here on... There we go. That's better. And let's see here. So crew oxygen crew supply is on. Ground control is on. And the ADDONS 1, 2, and 3 are all on nav. And then coming down here, we're going to arm the emergency light. Non-smoking sign is on. We'll leave the seatbelt signs off for the time being until we are refueled. Strobe goes to auto and nav lights to 1. We're gonna leave that there. Okay, and we're gonna turn on the fuel pumps. We can come and do the testing of the engines a little later. Okay, so now we can see the aircraft systems are coming up, and we're gonna increase the brightness here for our FMCs or MUCDOs. All right, perfect. And next, let's see. Where is it? There we go. All right. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to make sure these switches are all in the normal position. Our radios are on. And now we're going to come here and we're going to start doing so. The first thing you want to do after you've filed your SimBrief plan is you want to come to this ATSU menu. So we're going to click here, go to the AOC menu. Now you'll be presented with the initialization, flight data, all of this stuff here. we're going to go for the initialization here, which is the first one. Now, you can enter this stuff. As you can see, it automatically picked up FMC flight number, which is American Airlines 1024, and we're going to just click here on init data request. What this will do is it will fetch all the SimBrief data here. You can see now we have the departure, and it says the initialization recorded. Departure is Atlanta, and the destination is Orlando. Fuel on board is 5.4, and we have the ETE. Perfect. Now, if we go back to the menu here, now there's the OFP data. So now we have the initialization. Now we're going to go to the OFP data. Now, one thing you'll notice here is that this time needs to be the time in Zulu that you have, and for some reason it's not actually working right now. So what you need to do, this is more than likely a bug, so what you need to do is click on clear and clear that, and now you'll have the correct time set, and it will start working correctly. And the fuel, now because I have the refueling here via GSX, all you need to do is send the operational flight plan here, and the fuel truck will be summoned to the aircraft to refuel the aircraft. So just make sure this refuel is via GSX, and then we're going to say OFP data send. All right?
Refueling truck is on its way.
All right, so GSX now is telling us that refueling truck is on its way, and in the meantime, we're going to go back here.
Aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
Okay, so it will tell us when to board the passengers, but what I'm going to do here now, because we got this already from SimBrief, we're going to go to the next page. Now, you can begin boarding, and it will automatically it tells GSX to begin boarding. But what we're going to do, we're going to say instant request and click here on request. Okay? Now, once you do this, if you come down here to your electronic flight bag, right, let me go back here, and we're going to go to weight and balance. And now we will see in the weight and balance that you have everything there except our fuel. So we have planned 160, your passengers are current, your cargo
is in position.
All right, so the fuel truck is now in position.
Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
All right, so we'll just wait for the refueling. And now if you go to the outside, you'll see that the refueling truck is here, as you can see. And there is some really nice animations of the fuel truck there, making it, you know, very believable. Very, very nice animations there of GSX. You can see there how the aircraft, beg your pardon, how the fuel truck kind of positions itself there. They open the little, you know, the little hatch there, and then the other guy brings the hose, connects it there, and then connects it to the aircraft. And then refueling will begin. See, again, very, very nice. So very cool. Looks very, you know, not very realistic, especially how this man is walking. But but overall, you know, it's very nice. It's pretty immersive, I think, within the limitations of this sim. I think this is really, really cool. We can see this guy sitting there, opening the hatch, connecting the hose. So very, very nice. So we'll let the guy, yeah, he's hurrying up a little bit. And we can see him now putting the fuel hose into the aircraft wing, and we will begin refueling in just a second. So this is, if you want to use GSX, you can do the same thing for the boarding, and it will automatically summon the all the ground elements there, the baggage carts and the loaders to load the aircraft. It will manage the doors automatically for you. And now we can see that the fueling has started, and you can see that the fueling is increasing now. The fuel here is increasing in the aircraft. So yeah, in just a second there, we'll reach the final fuel weight, which is 15,000 pounds today for our flight. Perfect. So now that we have everything here, we can start programming the our flight plan. So now everything is done here on the AOC menu. There are a few more things here. You can do the departure ATIS and all of that good stuff. So these are things I will leave for you guys to do should you decide to buy the aircraft. All right, so let's go back to the MCD menu. We're going to go to the FMGC, and we are going to make sure that the data is current. I just noticed that there was a Navigraph update, which now includes the FSLabs most recent ARAC. So Navigraph charts now fully supports the FSLabs, and this is, of course, good news. So we have the latest database here. We're going to go, again, diff strip like we normally do. So we're going to go to init alpha. Now, if you go to init alpha, you will automatically see, because I have used the AOC menu, that it will automatically fetch all the data from your SimBrief plan and put it into your init page. The init Bravo is still not filled in, so we need to fill it in once the refueling is complete. We can, of course, grab the numbers because we do have those numbers, so we can stick them in here, but we'll just wait for the refueling to complete. So next thing is the flight plan, and the flight plan is again already put in there for us. So we just need to now put in the departure and arrival. So we are in Atlanta, and we are going to be departing runway 27 right, which is this one here. So this is 27 right. It's through the SMALT 3. So that's the SMALT 3 departure through the wallet transition, and insert that. And now we have all of that here. And then we are going to go to Orlando and select our arrival. The arrival is through 18 right. So this one here, and it's through the Greenwich 5. So Greenwich 5 arrival, and which ZJAX? Let's see, that's the one here. ZJAX transition. So we're going to select that and then insert. And next we're going to go and make sure that we don't have any discontinuities in our flight plan. There we go. Owner Hami, and that's 18 right. Perfect. So now we have everything here. Let's remove that. Okay. So we have our flight plan, and next we're going to go to the progress page, and I'm going to put Atlanta, and it's going to be, hey, Arthur,
hi
coming.
guys, waving emoji.
Hey, Arthur, how are you doing, my friend? Thank you very much for coming in with $5 in Super Chat, €5 in Super Chat. I appreciate it very much, my friend. Thank you. Very, very nice. I like that. Well, Phoenix doesn't do everything separately. You can either use all GSX at once or none. FSLabs, you can individually use all services whenever you need in the FSLabs. And that is a plus in the way that they integrate with GSX. So slightly better there in terms of how they integrate with GSX. Again, Arthur, thank you very much for the support. Really appreciate it. All right, so we're going to put cattle 18 left for the in case we have a problem and we need to return to Atlanta. So we will use that for the time being. What do I have here? Let's see. KATL 18 left. Yeah. Why is doing that? All right. Well, let's do then KMCO 18 right. That's all right. 18 right. There we go. That works. Okay. So that is done. And next we're going to go to the let me take a quick look here at the nav radios. We don't need to do anything there. And now it's a good time for us to go to the overhead panel. And we are going to, before we start the APU, let's do engine 1 fire test, engine 2 fire test, and the APU. Perfect. And now we're going to start the APU. So we'll come here and we are going to turn the APU master switch on and start the APU. Perfect. All right, let's take a look here at our fuel, 13,000, almost ready there with the fuel. And we can now come here. Actually, let me start this clock here. Okay, so nav radio is good. And the next thing is the init Bravo. So that's init Bravo. We know we're going to have... we can actually put in the... we can put the data here because this is already done. And the fuel we know is going to be 15,000. So we can just say 15. And now we have it will automatically populate all the information there. Wait just for the fueling to complete. And then we'll be ready to go. All right, so perfect. Everything's done here. Now, one thing I've noticed is if in the Airbus, if you keep pushing the brake on and off. So if I click here, you'll see that this is the brakes released. And you'll see that the brake pressure has gone to 0. If I put it back on again, it goes. If you keep doing this multiple times, you will lose the accumulated pressure in the aircraft. Unfortunately, this is not simulated in the A321. It is simulated in the A320, but not on the A321. And if you keep doing that and you lose accumulated pressure, what you need to do is open one of the cargo doors, which will again repressurizes the braking system. That's because the cargo door is connected to the same hydraulic line. So this is not simulated, not a big deal if you ask me, considering everything else that is modeled. But yeah, it's just for you again to be able to properly compare what's been done in both aircraft. Perfect. So we have refueling now complete, 14972, and if we go to the, you can see that those guys are now wrapping up there and taking the fuel truck away. Excellent. And everything here is done. Perfect. Now we're going to go, now we can see that we have a couple of ACARS messages. So let's click here. And what it says here, so this is the load sheet. It's got all the information. And then we have the uplink new. This one, the newest one. So we've received it. And then now I think now we'll be able to see it in the briefing as well. So again, you have the pre-flight, all of that messages from the ACARS system will be loaded here. I think if we go to briefing now, we'll be able to see. Yeah, now you can see your SimBrief flight plan here, and you've got, again, nice sections there. You can just jump to them right from here and access your flight plan. Right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to go to the takeoff performance. And for the takeoff performance, we need to specify the departure runway. The departure runway was 27 right. So we want to select 27 right. Right, so 27 right. Now I think this is indicating the entry point into the runway. So I'm going to select this one here. And we'll take a look here. Everything's good. We have the takeoff weight. We have everything set here. So we're just going to click on calculate. And that will automatically calculate the... oof, look at that. We're flying heavy. Be a rotate? Really? 165? Gee, is this accurate? Will it change if we select another one? Let's see. Yeah, looks like those are the speeds. Okay, so once that is done, we can come here and we can come to the perf, which is performance. All you need to do is click once and it will automatically populate the speeds for you. So V-rotate is at 170, and if flaps 1, 0.4 down, so flaps 1 at 0.4 down, and the flex temperature is 56. I like again the fact that it calculates everything for you. So 56, and there we go. All right, so we have everything here set. Excellent. And we can now turn on the APU bleed and disconnect the external power. Perfect. one more thing we need to do. We need our altimeter. So let's go to the weather. And from the 3006. Now this is a bug. When you turn the knob, nothing happens. So you have to change it back to standard. And now if I go, now you have it at 300. So this is a bug that I hope will be fixed in time. And the same thing, this one, I think, I'm not sure why it does that. But again, you need to do the same thing. 1, so 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. There we go. And that is now set. The cruise altitude for our flight today is 37,000 feet. So we're going to set 370. Right, 37,000 feet is now set, and we are ready to go. A couple of things worth noting before we begin. With the FSLabs A321, they properly and accurately simulated the pedal disconnect button. So in order to steer the aircraft, you need to press the pedal disconnect and keep pressing it in order to turn the aircraft left, right, and center. Now, they've done something here. If you go to options, by the way, you can go to options. You can go from here, from this options menu, you can go to fuel, and you can put the total fuel here. If you don't want to use GSX, you don't want to use AOC, you just come here from your sim brief plan, take your total fuel, put it here, then you can go to payload and go to the zero fuel weight there, and you can grab it again from your sim brief plan and just stick it in there, and you'll be good to go. Here's again, you can put the water, waste, and all that good stuff. But yeah, you can very quickly set up the aircraft. So for the fastest loading of the aircraft, just come to the options menu, fuel, payload, put in your zero fuel weight from your sim brief plan. It will automatically calculate everything for you, and then you'll be good to go. Now, if you go to exit controls, you'll find there is the NWS pin, or the nose wheel steering pin. If you set this, you'll be able to steer the aircraft. So maybe a good idea, if you don't want to keep pressing or you don't want to assign a button, you can just set this and you'll be able to steer the aircraft on the ground using your rudder pedals. So we'll take a look at that a little later. And for now, let's go back to perf here, and everything here is set and ready to go. So we are going to turn on the beacon lights on. And if we look here on the outside, you'll see that everything, the doors are closed automatically for us, and everything is in tip-top shape. Brilliant. Let's go ahead now and request pushback. So we are going to come to the electronic flight bag. And by the way, you can also request GSX services from within the McDo. So we're going to come here, and we are going to go to the connections here. And from the connections, we can now remove the chocks, and we can remove the GPU. And we're going to go to the services, and we are going to prepare for pushback and departure. All right. So now, once you select pushback and departure, you'll see the gate has been dismissed, and you'll see the ground crew assembling.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Okay. All right, you see the little wave there, and now the truck will connect. Very, very nice-looking aircraft, the A321. The sounds are also very nice. We'll take a look, of course, at the engine sounds in a second here. No worries, Carl. Take care, my friend.
Departure checks completed.
Yeah, the V-speed seems very high.
Inserted.
Mr. Shakir Hashlan, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. Eid Mubarak to you, my friend. Really appreciate your presence with us today. Thanks for making a stop, Captain Shakir. One of the best content creators, really, in Arabic language.
Locking gear.
All right, locking gear now. And if we go back to the aircraft, again, all the instructions you will receive via the the menu here. So again, very, very nicely done. Really, I do like the electronic flight bag. I think they've done a good job overall with the aircraft. All right, the aircraft's being lifted now, as you can see here. Excellent. All right. And now we can see that automatically you have the pushback direction. We're going to push nose to, let me think here, nose to the left. So the second one here.
Release parking brakes, please.
All right, and we can now release the parking brake. Let me remove the armrest here.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
All right, and we have the clearance to start our engines. So we're going to select the engine mode selector to ignition start. And now we can start the engine. Let's go ahead and start engine number 2. Very nice animations there. Nice engine sounds. Hello, Stefan. Welcome aboard, my friend. Unfortunately, Nate, we can't go to the cabin without the drone camera. Gotta love the IAE engine sounds. How about that? Very nice engine sounds, huh?
Please set parking brakes.
All right, parking brake set.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
All right, let's start engine number 1. And we're going to come here to services. And we're going to confirm.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
All right, there we go.
Unlocking gear.
All right, you see here, NW, nose wheel steering disconnect. Okay? So this is what allows the ground crew to actually steer the aircraft. It is equivalent to pressing this button here because it will allow them to steer the aircraft. And you can actually just click this button here in the EFB so that you don't have to keep pressing on the pedal disconnect button while you're taxiing. All right, so this is all good. Everything here is set, and we have starting the second engine. We can go ahead and set the auto brake to max, and we're going to set flaps 1 and arm the speed brake.
Disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
There are your flaps. I have to say the engine sounds are really, really good. They're very, very well done. I think on the FSLabs aircraft. What is your opinion about X-Plane 12? Whoa, I love X-Plane 12. All right. They said you will get an upgrade price if you purchase this CEO. Oh, that's cool. All right, so all is good here. We'll just wait for the wave off there, and let's go ahead and now we'll put the engine mode selector back into norm. APU bleed off, APU master off, taxi lights on, and we are good to go. All right. Let's just double check everything. All right, we're going to put the terrain. Now, I've noticed another bug here with the terrain radar. So if you click on the terrain radar, it does some funny things sometimes. We'll see if this happens today as well. If it does, we'll turn this off. We'll leave the weather system here. So on number 2, this is on auto. This is on auto. Everything here. All right, so weather system is on TCAS. We'll put this on auto. And we'll leave this on standby for right now. Alt reporting is on. All right, we are good to go. Let's release the parking brake. Ground service required, it says. See this? Ground service required. All right. Well, we're just going to go ahead and go. And we'll let the maintenance happen once we arrive into Orlando. Okay. So we're good here. Parking brake is released. And let's go. Let's see here. Let me just go on status here real quick and see if it gives us any information. Everything seems to be normal as far as the aircraft systems, but it looks like we do. I think it's that fire smoke detector thing that we saw in the tech log in the beginning is what's required here. All right. So we are going to go to runway 27. Now, let me show you this. If I click on the pedals here, you'll see that the turn is very, very slight. But if I click on the pedal disconnect, now I can actually steer the aircraft to left and right. And you can simulate this by what I showed you earlier. So let me just hit the brakes here real quick. I like it, by the way. I like the motion of the brakes when you hit them. It looks like we forgot about our seatbelt signs there. All right, and we'll do the config test. All right, that's normal. Okay, so if you go to the MCD menu, go to options, and then go to external controls, you see this NEO development. If I click here on set, now I will be able to steer the aircraft without having to press the pedal disconnect button here. Let me just give it some power here. All right, there we go. You see how I can steer the aircraft? So this is similar to what the pushback truck uses. And let's listen to the engine sound listen to the engine sounds, guys. All right. So let's figure out where's 27 right. I believe it's this runway here. But let's double check that on our Navigraph charts. If we click here, that's the aircraft. That's where we are. And this is indeed 27 right. So let's make the turn here. All right, there we go. All right, let's go. So far, I do like the FSLabs, and I do like the aircraft. I do like its depth of system simulation. Some things are definitely better with the Phoenix aircraft. Some things are better with the FSLabs. The texturing being one of them, where I think the Phoenix aircraft wins. In terms of system fidelity, I think there are a lot of things that are offered by FSLabs that are not available on the Phoenix model, and vice versa. So I think this is, price-wise, this aircraft will set you back about, I think it was $70. And by the way, you'll see that now we have this aircraft has it will simulate like bugs and dirt hitting the windshield, and you can get to clean that from the maintenance tab in the AFB. So again, what you really need to do is you need to have this pressed in order to be able to steer the aircraft. So that's why I'm using the nose wheel steering disconnect available in the options menu in the EFB. It's just easier to maneuver the aircraft on the ground. I found the handling, the ground handling, to be slightly better than everything else that I've tried before in 2024. Flight model slightly twitchy on takeoff, and there's a bit of a float when I came to land yesterday. But let's take a look today and see what things, how things are in this flight. Right, we're coming up to runway 27 right here for departure. The engine sounds are spectacular. Very, very nice. There's 27 right. There is our turn right there. So overall, I think so far, this is a definite contender in the Microsoft Flight Sim world. FSLabs definitely, the FSLabs A321 is without a doubt a high fidelity representation of the Airbus A321 with excellent system simulation again, and fidelity and depth with the complete failure system. All right, so here's what we're going to do, folks. We are going to make a quick stop here. All right. All right, let me make a stop here. All right, just right before we enter the runway. And we are going to come here and remove the pin covers. We're going to go back to flight plan. We're going to go and turn on our landing lights. Nose light to takeoff, runway turn off lights, strobe to auto, and we are good to go. Now to make the turn, we're definitely going to have to press on the pedal here. So I'm going to press that here, and now we'll be able to turn the aircraft using the rudder pedals. All right. Let's line up, 27 right. Our rotation speed is very high, 172. That's a bit too much, isn't it? Maybe we're flying heavy, I don't know, but let's set the hold the brakes here. I really like that little dip there. Okay, so we are good to go, and we're going to go TCAS TARA. We're going to start our clock. And we are now ready to go. All right. Manflex 56 SRS and runway. Little forward pressure on the stick. Very nice sounds. Can hear the rattle in the cockpit. Right, coming up to V1. V1. Rotate. Positive rate of climb and gears going up. Very nice departure here from Atlanta. All right, and thrust climb is set. You can see all the dirt now on the windshield there. You see that? Yeah, very, very nice touch there by FSLabs. I find the handling to be quite nice once you're up in the air. All right, and we can go autopilot 1, engaged. Let's disarm the speed brake. And continue our climb. Very nice Microsoft Flight Sim scenery right there. The exterior sound mixing seems off. Is it really? Something is very weird about the sound of these engines. Could be, I don't know. Which one better, Tolis or this? Tough question. All right, we need to retract our flaps. All right, flaps are up. Why is the external sound switching gradual? It is to protect my ear. Is it? I don't know. Interior sounds are fine though. Okay. Yeah, I noticed that when you're on the back of the aircraft, you lose the sounds completely. So I hear what you're saying. I think this would normally be flaps 2 takeoff, reducing the V speeds. Well, according to the EFB, it gave us flaps 1. So, but yeah, you might be right there, Dougal. TOLUS is better in terms of its flight model. That's for definite. I will tell you that right off the bat. I've flown this aircraft a couple of times. I've flown the TOLUS A321 recently. Here with you guys on stream, and I found that the TOLUS to be the fly-by-wire implementation of TOLUS is by far the best Airbus. They are, in fact, Airbus is now a TOLUS customer, so they use TOLUS aircraft for training purposes. So, and that is a testament to how accurate TOLUS aircraft is. So, back here. On this FSLabs, I think things are looking good in this Microsoft Flight Sim. Yeah, I mean the ground textures are nice. Clouds are nice. All right, you gotta love the cloud smoothing in Microsoft Flight Sim. All right, let's go to 40. We can turn off the landing lights. Nose lights, runway turn off light. And we will put the non-smoking on auto. We can release the cabin crew. And let's go ahead and turn off the fasten seatbelt sign as well. All right. So we are above 10,000 feet now, and things are looking good. Let's see here. This is on climb. This is good. Everything else is... I found that the trim wheel is a bit jittery. The movement of the trim wheel... So it doesn't move as smoothly as it should. You see that? See how it jumps? I don't think I've seen that in the Phoenix or any other Airbus. I think it's a very smooth turn of the trim wheel. But this is how it is in in this FSLabs. Nonetheless, everything else, I think, in terms of the fidelity, system fidelity, I think it's pretty good. If we go here now and... I'm wondering why we were getting... Let me see, go back here, see if I can... Yeah, I really am not sure what this is. But if you go to the log, the tech log, you'll see here, non-performance says smoke maintenance message present. Maybe that's what it is. If I click here, confirm repair defect, confirm. So yeah, if you confirm it, then I don't think it will go, by the way. But I think it's just it's a non-interactive log. So if you click here on failures, that's still there, and that's something we need to fix. I think channel 1 fault. Yeah. So yeah, very very nice. Again, there's a lot of failures that can happen. If you can see here, you have, you know, from the air conditioning, electrical power, hydraulic, fuel, ice, rain protection. All of these are things that you know, can fail. There's multiple things under each item, of course, as you can see here. Oof, look at that. How many things that can actually fail. So very, very nice failure system there, giving the aircraft an extra depth in terms of fidelity. Another thing that you'll appreciate in this aircraft is that all the circuit breakers are actually modeled, so those actually work, and you can just pull one of them and fail that specific component. Maybe we'll do this on a separate flight. The one thing I didn't like is that you cannot open the cockpit door and wander around the cabin. So that's a bit of a disappointment there. Let's see here. I'm sure that actually in Airbus it's right there. So we do have the alternate gear there extension. So it does work. All right. So if you look here, now it's not doing what it's done in the last flight, but you can see here that the loading of the terrain, the display is very jittery. You can see how it very slowly kind of goes away. It's just not right. There's something definitely wrong with the terrain radar display. Hopefully this is something that they'll fix in upcoming updates of the aircraft. Other option for the MSFS A320 is Phoenix and fly-by-wire, for sure. Phoenix is definitely very polished, and it's been there for quite some time now for MSFS. Funny, it has the America West colors. Yeah. Definitely, yeah. Without a doubt, Phoenix is in-depth simulation of the A320, and so is this FSLabs. I think there are some things I really appreciate in this version, and some things I appreciate in the. Looks like when you put the constraints, though, it doesn't show anything. So this looks like not modeled yet. Yeah, you definitely don't see the constraints there. Airport is there. NDB is there. VOR. We need to set this to standard. And standard. And standard. All right. Okay. So, let me talk to you guys a little bit about FSLabs as a company and the incident that most of you probably know about. For those of you who do not know, FSLabs in 2018 deployed a malware in their FSLabs installation file, and that has caused a lot of issues in the community, specifically on how FSLabs was seen as a developer. And this act is not justifiable by any means. The fact of the matter is, at least from my humble perspective on the issue, when the guys over at FSLabs put that malware, or quote unquote malware, or the test.exe as the infamous file, the intention was for them to protect their hard work and the copyright, their product. So they wanted to know who were the people who were cracking their product and making it available free of charge. So this was allegedly to find software pirates, yeah, but still totally unacceptable in my opinion. Yes. So the purpose, the means in which they is not justifiable for them. It was they did not really mean any harm to the community. They didn't mean really to harm us. But is this an acceptable act? No, it is not an acceptable act. And I think FSLabs has paid a very severe penalty for that. They have lost the confidence of the flight sim community. They have lost the trust of people, and they just really tarnished their own image with the act. Now, me being Q8 pilot, I'm a very forgiving person, and I have learned through being in this community for 10 years. I know that the flight sim community is an extremely unforgiving community, and the things are always blown out of proportion. By the way, I'm not saying this was a small thing, but the fact is, those guys were trying to make a living, and they figured somebody is pirating their software. What they did was a very bad call on their part. It's just something that is unacceptable. It's something that is, I felt at the time that it was, that I will never do business with this company again. But when you really go back and do your self-reflection, and when I thought about FSLabs, and I felt like, if I didn't know any better, and I was in a situation like this, and I didn't know of any other way on how to figure out who's really pirating my software, well, maybe I would have done something like that. Personally, I would not have done anything like that, but if I put myself in their shoes, 2 or maybe 3 people working on this FSLabs, that's how they pay their bills. That's how they feed their children. Obviously, they do this full time. So don't seem to care if people pirate their software. It really is a very touchy subject, okay? Because it really goes very deep into these people's lives. So when I thought to myself, totally agree with you.
Totally
Thank you.
agree with you.
Thank you very much again for coming in with €2 again in Super Chat. Really appreciate it, Arthur. So what I thought to myself is, look, the guys have done a mistake, a really bad one. It's not justifiable by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, but they have paid the price and they have gone through the pain and the agony of losing the confidence of the community. And I think they do deserve a second chance. Everyone deserves a second chance. So that is my take on the subject. And when the FSLabs became available for MSFS 2024 a few days ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to give these guys another chance, and I'm going to go ahead and purchase the aircraft, and I paid the full price. So by the way, I don't have any affiliation with FSLabs. I haven't spoken to anyone at FSLabs, but I've done something for you guys. I went to their forums, and I, of course, am using a name that not in any way indicates that I am Q8 pilot. And I went to the forums and I posted a couple of things, and they were very nice. They were very responsive. Obviously, they are standing behind their product. They're trying to help the community. They have very good tutorials, very good community support as well within the forums. So overall, do they deserve it a second chance? I think they do. Did they do something terrible 7 years ago? Yeah, they did. And they paid the price. All right, so done and dusted. They are obviously creating a very high fidelity simulation of the A321. This is what we keep asking for, is something in depth, something high fidelity. Is this add-on perfect? No, I don't think it's perfect. Do I think it's overpriced? Quite frankly, to be completely honest with you guys, I don't think it's overpriced, but I think it's for what it does, for the amount of work that they put into it, I think it's worth its price, to be very, very honest with you. Again, it goes back to the economics of those developers. I don't know how many developers are there to support, but the price seems to be reasonable for something of this fidelity. As a scenery developer, I think Microsoft could do better to help stop piracy. MSFS's online service, every product could be linked to an account. Yeah, that's something. That's a good idea. Like I wrote, almost every single dev cares about piracy as it impacts their sales and quite possible their livelihood. Yeah. Hello is better than Phoenix. Well, I cannot say just like that it's better or not better than Phoenix. I think there are some parts that are better in the FSLabs. There are some things that are better in Phoenix. But overall, if I am to rate Phoenix, I would rate Phoenix to be 9.5 out of 10. I would rate this aircraft to be probably 8.5 out of 10. I will also deduct another half a point from FSLabs, so make it an 8, because of the bugs that are available, that are present right now in the setting up the altimeter, as you've witnessed in the beginning of the stream. There is another bug, by the way. Sometimes when you power up the aircraft, you'll see that the display here, the glare shield, is completely dark, and it will only turn on after you turn this knob. Now, I'm not sure if this is a bug or it's a true-to-life behavior, but from all the Airbuses I've flown, I've never seen this to be off after you turn on the power. The light could have been dimmed, but I made sure that the lights were on before turning the... You can see again the terrain radar is not really updating properly. I'm going to turn it off because it's kind of bugging me. But yeah, I think if I look at their control panel, If I look at the aircraft, the electronic flight bag, the integration with GSX, which is excellent in this aircraft, really very, very, very good. The integration with, say, intentions. So for all of this integration, for all this fidelity, yeah, this is actually a very good add-on for MSFS 2024. Flight model flies, for the most part, flies very good. I felt that it's very steady on the ground, so the ground physics are actually not bad. On takeoff, I felt that the aircraft was a bit strange on takeoff. You have to be very careful with your stick, otherwise it will just skyrocket upwards. Landings, well, I'm going to take a look at the landings with you guys here today, but in the previous test that I've done, there was a bit of a float, and I'm not sure if this is something with FSLabs or it's still a Microsoft Flight Sim issue. So they pay for the base game and nothing else because they don't have to. It would be an issue if it wasn't. Yeah. Not sure what the issue is with the FCU not properly updating. I never had that before in the FSL. What happened regarding the Barrow? Only, unfortunately, I could join. The Barrow does not update when you turn the knob. So when you turn the knob, you'll not see the number changing unless you go to standard and then put it back on the Barrow. You'll be able to see the number changing. Anyway, how are there ways to keep your software uncrackable without resorting to FSLab? Yeah, Mr. Valero, yes, you are absolutely right. I think those guys made a bad judgment. They made a bad call, and they paid for it. The thing is, they paid for it, and they paid heavily. All right, so let me take a look here, where we are at about 5,000 feet from top of climb. Not much after that is the top of descent. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the next phase. Yeah, all right, so in about 75, TD is 122. So I'm going to go to the next phase. All right, and let's do the approach together. So if I come here and go back to, let's see here, let's go to flights. So 18 right is our runway. Approach 18 right localizer is what we want. And the Q, first let's go to the QNH. QNH is a 3006, 3006. All right, QNH is set, and the current temperature is a warm 32 degrees in Orlando, Florida. Probably getting pretty humid now. 230 knots at 230 degrees at 5 knots. Pretty nice. Transition altitude looks like 18,500. And let's see here. 2,200 is the platform altitude. And let's see, ILS 200. There we go. And we are set. Okay, perfect. So everything is set here. And yeah, all is good. Now, you see this little dirt here on the windshield, so you can clean this by going to the maintenance. So if I click here on maintenance, it says clean cockpit windows. So if I click this one here, clean cockpit windows, now we have a clean cockpit. Again, very, very nice. And you'll see this dirt coming during takeoff and landing. So is very cool. It's a very cool thing to have, you know. It's a nice to have. Again, this is not a must. And of course, you can always open the tray. So that's nice. You can, by the way, test the oxygen. We didn't test that, but you can. So that is simulated. We saw that we can open the cockpit window. So that's cool. Yeah. Overall, very, very nice aircraft, really. And from the, there is, by the way, a lot of options in here if you go to the McDo menu. So you can jump ahead. You have the options menu here. And now you can actually go even to the, so this is payload, engines. You have that there. You have the units. So if I click here, you can change from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So all of this is configurable per aircraft. Obviously, we're using an American Airlines livery, so everything is in pounds here. So if we go back here, again, you've got your doors, and you can manipulate the doors here. So a lot of options available for payload. And if I go to the next page, again, you've got reset this airframe. You can reset all of the airframes. You can also go to the sounds, and you can go to the sound volumes here and change this. Again, you have GSX, by the way, here as well. So if I go to the volume, I can decrease the engine volumes, for example, to 60, environment to 60, and cockpit sound volume maybe to 70, and this is probably better. You've got your keyboard buttons here, your displays. You can change the virtual cockpit and the 2D target FPS, self-test delay. This is when you turn the batteries on. You'll see the flicker here on the screen, so you can change this. It's currently set to 38 seconds, and yeah. And by the way, you can also there's a web browser that you can use for managing your fuel, and the EFB is also available through a web browser. So you can actually, if you don't want to use this one here, you can always go to the browser version and put it on a separate screen. So again, from a usability perspective, I think FSLabs have really thought about the user and the user experience. So for all those reasons, again, I think they deserve another chance, and I would definitely give them a rating of 8 out of 10. And 8 out of 10 is a very good rating if you consider my standards when reviewing aircraft. Now I'm a little bummed out that we can't see the restrictions here, so that's yeah, I'm just, maybe we'll see them a little later, but we'll see. It looks like the restrictions are not. Let's leave this on here. So overall, yeah, not a bad aircraft. So Q8, next time you hear cabin calling, make sure you turn up the volume on the RCP and clicking on the button. Okay, we'll do that. The constraints do work. Okay, thanks, Benjamin. Appreciate it. Speaking of rating, what do you give the Hot Start Challenger 650? I give it a 10 out of 10. The only aircraft that ever gets a 10 out of 10 is the Hot Start Challenger 650. All right, so here's top of descent. We are approaching top. Actually, the Hot Start, I think I gave it a 9 in my previous, when I did the rating. The reason being is some of the textures inside the cockpit weren't that good. So for that reason, I think I gave it a 9. So if they just fix that, I think they'll get the 10. Yeah, they are a 10 out of 10 in terms of everything else. The constraints will show if you step through the flight plan. There just isn't a constraint. I see. Okay, thank you. I think we'll be able to see that once, because if I go to the flight plan, I think you're right. If we go here, we have some restrictions there. Let's see. Yeah, we do have some restrictions here along the way, so we'll be able to see those. We'll be able to see those in a sec. Here's the 2200. We're going to set the altitude to 2,200. All right, 2,200. And then what we'll do is, what is the approach? Course 185. Okay. So let's come here, return. All right, so we're going to say KMCO. KMCO. And the runway is 18 right. The radial is 185. And the radius is 10 nautical miles. And voila. Okay, perfect. All right, so here's top of descent. So we're going to turn on our landing system here and prepare for the descent. A bit cloudy here in Florida. Very humid weather, I suppose. Synaptic Sim development stream starts in 15 minutes. You going to tune in? I will probably not be done in 15 minutes, but once I'm done, yeah, I will definitely take a look. Hey Q8, hope you're doing good. Amazing content as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Hakan. Welcome. Well, you have the free FSLTL. Nicer Slayer. Yes, yes it is. Yes, it is. So I've noticed also that the FSS Boeing 727 has now received compatibility update for MSFS 2024, and so is the FSS E170, 175, 190, and 195. And I found there is an Embraer 190 and 195 freighter version in my Aerosoft account. So I was pretty happy about that. And we are going to be doing some MSFS content. I know this comes as a disappointment for all the X-Plane fans. Tomorrow, by the way, guys, we are going to be, I can see the constraints now. Tomorrow evening at 2000 hours or 1700 Zulu, we are going to be taking a look, a second look at the BAE 146 for X-Plane 12 and X-Plane Beta 7, 12.2.0 Beta 7, which looks absolutely amazing. The clouds, the performance, the fog, just really very, very immersive. I've done a flight earlier today, and it just is amazing. So tomorrow evening, we are going to be flying the BAE 146 Air New Zealand from Auckland to Wellington. Again, Wellington is one of the most difficult approaches in the world due to its location and the strong winds at that airport. So that's our flight tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow at 1700 Zulu. For our X-Plane 12 stream as usual. So this was an off-schedule stream because I really wanted to show you the FSLabs, and I know that most of you voted for the BAE 146 for our Saturday stream. So yeah. So we are going to be doing a lot of these off-schedule streams to showcase the new aircraft, or not the new aircraft, but the aircraft that has recently received compatibility update with 2024. And again, I'll give you my honest opinion about those aircrafts as well. The one that I'm really itching to try, I've downloaded but haven't tried yet, is the FSS 727. I loaded the aircraft, and it just almost reminded me of the Fly JSIM 727, which is an aircraft, is one of my favorites in X-Plane. And just by looking at it, it's actually a very detailed simulation of the 727. So I'm quite excited to take a look at it and show you guys as well what it can deliver in terms of value. QA, do you want to see how dynamic failures can be in FSL? Do you want to see how dynamic failures can be? We can do that, yeah, if it's not something too... if it's not something too involved, we can definitely look at that. I think we already have one failure. Let's see. Does X-Plane 12 model rainstorms like in MSFS? Oh, yes. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Sage engines without doubt, though it's a little pricey. Yeah. It's a little pricey, and the reason being, guys, is that AI technology is quite pricey. So they do pay a lot to maintain. I think they're using Amazon Web Services. So they're using the Amazon Cloud to host their LLMs or large language models. So the consumption can be very, very expensive with hosting AI. And you need some powerful servers as well. So yeah. I don't know, but colors in MSFS look a bit overcooked to my taste. Overblown, kind of. It does render insane amount of details, though. I do agree with you to an extent. In Microsoft Flight 2020, this issue actually is more evident in the oversaturation of the colors of the sim. MSFS 2020 does not look realistic to me in terms of the colors. I think it looks more cinematic. So there's a difference between realistic colors and cinematic colors. And 2020 looks more cinematic to me. That said, I think 2024 looks a little more believable in terms of the colors. So here's again, you can see the clouds. Well, flying in real time, by the way. Sky colors are much nicer. I'm glad I reduced the engine sounds because they were a bit loud, I think. So they are much better now. Yeah, so yeah, it's, if you look here, I think it's much better in terms of the colors. Doesn't look as bad as 2024, as bad as 2020. Beg your pardon. So so yeah, I think the sim is in a very good state right now. Still some issues. Still the flight model is not, you know, it's not very accurate. It does some really strange things sometimes, but I think it's getting there. It's getting polished with time. And I'm very happy to see that the developers are finally releasing compatibility updates for our favorite add-ons in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. I need to revisit Explain 12. Has there been any substantial improvements? Oh, God, yes. AMR archives. You should take a look at Explain 12.2.0 Beta 7. This is the latest iteration, which makes Explain one of the best, if not the best, flight sim out there, at least from my opinion. The weather in Explain looks so realistic. The clouds, the rain, the fog, the lighting, it has been completely revamped. So the weather system has been completely revamped. It's just looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, if you don't mind, you know, their plausible world textures and things like that. If you are really concerned with flying, I think it gives you the most immersive flying experience, at least from my perspective, if you're flying via IFR. So for IFR flights, I think X-Plane is the sim. For a VFR, I think still Microsoft Flight Sim wins, hands down, because of the excellent and world real scenery that's been streamed directly from, you know, Azure, Microsoft Azure servers to your sim. So that is my honest opinion. Of course, you don't have to agree with me, but that's my personal opinion. All right, we are at top of descent, 1 nautical miles. So let's begin a nav. No, we want nav descent. We don't want, there we go, nav descent. And this will respect, I can see the restrictions there now. Thank you very much, guys. The constraints are definitely shown in the ND. And now we've begun the descent towards Orlando. If I go to 80, let's see here. All right, so that's our little circle there. That's 18 right. So hopefully we'll arrive there without incident today, and we'll again be able to test the hand flying the aircraft during the approach into Orlando. Very nice clouds in Microsoft Flight Sim today. Again, here you can see those clouds are looking nice. Yeah. Right. So if I go, you can see again proper, you can see the descent here. The descent to the distance to destination, 122 nautical miles, and everything else looking good. We do have the secondary flight plan, so we'll copy the active there. We do have the fuel prediction, and of course you have all the all these. So all of these are simulated. So if you have the fuel, you've got your fuel page, your hydraulics, ram turbine, is that right? Yeah, ram air turbine. So you've got that there. So it's on the blue hydraulic, electrical system, pressurization, bleed, engine page. APU is obviously off right now. The air conditioning showing you the cockpit forward and aft. Door page, again, looking good here. Wheel, obviously the landing gear is retracted. You've got your pitch trim, rudder, elevation, ailerons. And there you go. We have the engine. And then if you go here to STS, it's normal. So we don't have any faults there. The aircraft is in tip-top shape with the exception of a slight problem with one of the smoke detectors, looks like, which needs fixing. So we'll let ground crew know once we land into Orlando. Turn the wiper, turn a wiper on. Yeah, you definitely can do that. The camera system in MSFS is not good. Yeah, I wouldn't use that specific term, AMR archives, but I think it's not very good. It's overly complicated, and I think, you know, what I love about X-Plane is you want a drone mode, just hit Shift 4, click, you know, letter C on your keyboard, and you're in drone mode, and then Shift and 9, you go back into your cockpit. You can use the mouse to move freely. The best camera system ever in flight sim is the X-Plane extra camera system. Out of the box, by the way, you don't need anything with X-Plane, just works. Yeah, I found the camera system in MSFS to be extremely intimidating and very difficult to figure out. But eventually you do, and once you get used to it, you know, then it's fine. X-Plane 12 is less optimized software. It doesn't use CPU and GPU to the fullest potential. That is true also. I can fully hotkey camera config in X-Plane in a view about 2 minutes. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Chaseplane adds a lot of realism to MSFS, but 2020 only until they release 2024. That's a bummer because that's one product I was really hoping I can put my hands on for 2024. But yeah, I think the entire config system in MSFS is a bit daunting, very intimidating. So it gets a little bit of getting used to, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Once you get used to it, it's not bad. Here's a look at the outside as we approach Orlando in this beautiful FSLabs A321. I do like the sounds, by the way. I'm not sure why you guys don't like them, but I think they're pretty good. I think, though, if you move, I think the sound mixing is a bit off, but other than that, I think pretty cool looking aircraft. Yeah, it's a bummer that you know, that we can't do the... So I'm in drone camera mode now. So if you want to go to the cabin, you kind of have to do what I'm doing now. So yeah, if we want to do a wing view, for example, that's what we need to do. And in drone camera, it keeps moving, so you can't just keep it still. But yeah, maybe there are some views there we can get, but yeah. It's pretty cool, isn't it? All right, let's hop back into the cockpit. And we are down to 24,000 or 2,200. Things are looking nice here as we approach Orlando. And we're going to also take notice of the VNAV VNAV calculations and how the aircraft progresses. We've been flying for 41 minutes now, folks. Sounds are fine. Thanks, Rand. I went and got the BSS sounds. You should give it a shot. It is unnatural sound. Is it? Gotcha. On certain angles when you turn the camera. I see. Yeah, I follow what you're saying. Boeing 757 in the chat. Hello, my friend. Welcome aboard. Does this have CPDLC? think so. I'm not sure, but I think it does because it's got the, let's go here. This one is not modeled yet. Yeah, this one is definitely, it says not implemented. But CBDLC, I'm not sure because I saw all the ATC menu. It does have the CPDLC. Yes, I will tell you why. Because I know that from here, if you go to the settings, you have your Hoppy login. And the Hoppy login is for CPDLC. So you do have it, yes. But you don't see it here, though. You don't have the option there. I really am not sure. It normally is here, isn't it? Normally you find it here, but this one doesn't have it. Yeah. I don't think this does anything, by the way. All right, so we are approaching Orlando now. Well, we are at 19,000. Let's very quickly grab the altimeter. 18, let's see. Orlando 3006. Okay. Now, if we go to... let's see if it gives us the right one. All right, so it gave the right QNH there, 3006, which is correct. And we are going to come here and change that one as well. So let's see, 3006. There we go. So altimeters are set. Here's our turn. And beautiful, again, scenery in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. Again, some areas look nicer than others. I found that once you are closer to the ground, it looks even better. But definitely improvement from the previous versions. So I do like after Sim Update 2, a lot of things have been fixed and look better. Let me use the speed brake here to reduce our speed a little bit. There we go. A little bit faster descent. And we do have a restriction, looks like, at 7,000 here. Someone put me in MSFS. Phoenix is $50, unbeatable. And this one is at $69. So actually 50 UK pounds is $68 right now. Oh, Mr. Valero, thank you for that. Yeah, I think you are right. It's in pounds. That is correct. So so the price is pretty much the same, I think, for both aircraft. And considering the fact that they are in some areas neck to neck, in some areas I think the Phoenix wins, in some areas I think the FSLabs wins. But when by the way, I tend to not hear what other content creators say normally before I do my own reviews, because I don't want to be influenced. And when I do the reviews, I'd like to do them based on my experience with the air, not someone else's experience. I do after, in order to sort of get a sort of validation on what I've said. Do people agree with me? Do people disagree? What other, real world pilots say? So then I go and start listening to what other people say. And I've actually gained a lot of insights by doing this over the years. Is I always do reviews first without hearing what others have to say, because I don't want to get influenced by their opinions. And then I do my, afterwards, after I do my own review, I'll go and watch. And in most cases, I have found that people say exactly what I say. Even real world pilots that have experience with those aircraft in real life say pretty much the same things. The one thing, Q8, there are great things coming from Phoenix in the next update, some quite subtle but bringing great accuracy. Dougal, that's very good to hear. I'm very, very happy to hear that, and I quite look forward to it for sure. So, that's normally how I do it, and what I found is that in most cases, it helps me remain extremely unbiased and give you my honest experience with this sim. So when I review the aircraft, I review it from a flight simmer perspective. I don't review it from a real world pilot. So I cannot, while I cannot provide you with real world insight, I can give you my experience as a flight simmer and tell you whether, you know, this aircraft, whether you're going to enjoy it or not, and whether it's worth the money or not. And I think after 10 years creating content, I think I'm qualified to, you know, to say that. Now, if you want an attestation of how accurate the aircraft systems are compared to the real world aircraft, that is something I cannot provide, as I'm not a real world Airbus pilot. And there are, thankfully, in our community, there are both real Boeing and Airbus pilots that can provide that insight. But I found that sometimes real world pilots are also biased for their own type. So I've seen that a little bit. And I've seen some of them go very hard on the developers, which is something I don't do. Because I do understand that those developers are developing, this is actually their job. We are at 10,000 feet. So I know that this is their bread and butter. And, you know, when us content creators go and say this add-on is good or this add-on is bad, it really affects their lives. And this was self-evident in a recent review that I've done, where I'm not going to say the aircraft, but I've done a review and I said that the price was not worth it. I think most of you who are following the channel will know what I'm talking about and know which aircraft exactly. But I pointed out why this aircraft wasn't worth its money in the current state that it was brought to the community. And not because the aircraft there was anything wrong with it, but because I didn't feel that it offered the value for the money that you pay for it. And so I actually, on stream, I said what I would think would be a reasonable price for the aircraft. And the developer, one of the lead developers, reached out to me on Discord. And he said, I was watching your stream on TV, and I couldn't agree more with you. Thank you for saying those things, because I fought very hard with the rest of the team. Obviously, there is a team that is responsible for selling, which is not part of the development team. It's a separate company that sells, or a distributor of the software. And they didn't agree with what he was trying to say. And he said, my wife and I were watching your stream on TV, and my wife jumped when you mentioned all the things that you've mentioned. And he said, she told him, hey, these are the same, whatever Q8 is saying is exactly what you said, what you've been telling those guys all along. And he said, yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is. So that, although I felt bad, because probably I would, had I said that this aircraft was, you know, priced perfectly well, maybe more people would have bought the aircraft. But I have a responsibility towards the community, and I cannot say that if I really don't think it. And for this reason, by the way, guys, I have almost completely stopped accepting free preview copies and things like that. I do it for some developers that I know wouldn't mind me criticizing their products, providing constructive criticism, tell them exactly what I feel, and why this add-on would be great, good, or bad, and whether the price is right. So some developers, like, for example, I'll be very frank with you, Tolis, are very open to this. Tolls are very happy for me to critique their products to the nitty-gritty details. They don't really mind me giving them this constructive feedback, because that is how, and that's from Tolls to me. They said this is how we've been improving our product, is we hear what the community says. And they said, Q8, you've always been very fair in, you know, you're very balanced in the way that you review things, and you're not afraid to say, you know, this is good, this is bad. I don't like, by the way, to use terms like, you know, quote unquote, like garbage and things like. I don't like to use these terms, because these are completely demotivational for development. If a developer is hearing this, you know, it's going to break his heart. You know, something he obviously invested his time in, and you come and tell him that, you know, what you've done is garbage, or that it's like crap, or, you know, any of these words. I refrain from using this, but I'd like to remain objective in my presentation. So, that said, we are almost at Orlando, and this is a rather beautiful scene here with all these beautiful clouds. Thank you very much, Doodle. Appreciate it. You probably need, as it turns out, is a modern 757 replacement. Sometimes the truth hurts, yes. Receptivity to criticism and feedback should be welcomed. Absolutely. And some of them do it really well. Some of them, unfortunately, don't. All right. So, if we look here at the outside, we are arriving into Orlando, ladies and gents, and here is our turn. Look at the beautiful sight here as we arrive into our destination with those beautiful clouds in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. There's looks like a restriction there, 24. We are looking good. Here's our 10 nautical mile ring. So if I turn this to 10, we can see it right here. And I think, right, speed check and flaps 1. Right, we're going to slow the aircraft down a little bit. Very good. And if we come down here, the speed is, let's see, approach speed 151. 151. All right. You can, by the way, always come to landing, and we go to select the runway, which is 18 right or 18 left here, and calculate that. Yeah, about 140. Okay. All right, so here we are making the turn towards, we have the localized. Let's go ahead and say approach. All right, looking good. Localizer captured. Beautiful approach into Orlando, ladies and gents, in this excellent FSLabs A321. So far, so good. Those clouds are looking fantastic. All right, speed check, flaps 2. Looking good. And we have the, I think, that's the runway right there. Right, we're looking good, 3,000, and everything here is configured. Approach phase, yeah. All right, so all is good here. We are on the localizer and glide slope. The cabin is ready. We are a bit off from the runway, aren't we? That's our runway there. On the display, it looks a bit off. But here, I think the runway is in sight. All right, and let's go ahead and lower the landing gear. Landing gear coming down. Speed check and flaps 3. Let's arm the speed brake. Auto brake medium. And speed check flaps full. And the landing checklist is complete. We have the runway in sight. Let's go ahead and record our flight here. Record. Click on record. And we'll put this here on the side. What do you guys think? Look at that. Wow. This looks absolutely gorgeous. Too bad we can't do those nice wing views. All right. So 1,000 feet. Again, you can see some dirt there as we come into land on the windshield there. Gotta love those, the casted shadows from the clouds. Very nice. Now we have to do the replay before we park the aircraft. Because of all the... it will not save the position of the flaps or the speed brakes and things like that. Alright, so we are good here. It didn't say 1,000, did it? Alright. My aircraft? And flying the FSLabs A321 is really, really nice. I really do like it a lot.
Hundred above. Minimum.
Continue.
$30. $20. Retard. $10. Retard.
Bit of a float there. Reverse green. 80 knots. Manual braking. Ladies and gents, welcome to Orlando International Airport. All right, we've made it safely here. And in order to make the turn, we need to press that. Not sure why it's not doesn't want to turn. All right. All right, now it's turning properly. So before we actually go anywhere, we are going to bring the aircraft to a stop here, and we'll do the replay. And once we do the replay, then we'll figure out where we want to park the aircraft. So let me come here, and let me stop the recording, and then we're going to say play. There we go. All right. So we'll put that away. All right. And here's a replay at our landing. Maybe that's a bit too far, so let me bring it down right about here. There we go. All right. And very, very nice looking scenery in Microsoft Flight Sim. Thank you, Rand. Appreciate it. There are no built-in wing views, unfortunately. But this is looking very nice. The sim is looking very nice, I have to say. Wow, this is looking gorgeous, guys. There's a bit of a float there. But a very smooth and buttery landing. Quite nice, huh? All right. Let's come here, take control. All right, let's remove that. And let's see here. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to come to the MCD menu. I'm going to go to options. I'm going to go to external controls, set the nose wheel so we can freely taxi the aircraft on the ground. And then we can turn off the landing lights, runway turn off lights, taxi, strobe to auto. There we go. We can disarm the speed brakes. Flaps up. And we can actually use the GSX service to see where it will take us. So let's see here. Let's go to the menu here, and we'll go to connections. We'll go to services. Doesn't want to give me services, so what do we do here? Can we use GSX here? Doesn't look like it. So that's okay. Steering the aircraft seems to be a little bit difficult. Why is it doing that? Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't do what it's supposed to do, but that's okay. All right, we'll just go to the main terminal here and bring the aircraft to a stop. Slow it down a little bit. There we go. You can see a lot of dirt on the windshield now. And there is a position right straight ahead of us there, so that's where we're going to go. There we go. Wow, looks really nice, doesn't it? All right. And we are at stand 48. Parking, we should have turned on the APU, but that's all right. We'll just wait a little bit to... All right, parking brake is set. Excellent. And let's stop the clock. About 1 hour and 7 minutes from takeoff to the gate. Yeah, it looks like GSX has broke. So what we can do is we can say restart GSX. So we'll wait for GSX to restart, and while we wait for the APU,
you need to stop the engines to request ground services.
All right, it looks like GSX has worked now, and we can now go to the APU bleed. Let's turn off the taxi lights. Let's see, where's the APU? 75, so almost there. Yeah, we should have turned it on. All right, looks like the APU is there now, so we can go APU bleed. And let's kill the engines. Engine number 1. Very nice sounds on board this FSLabs. Very good. And now we can go to, where are we? Let's see, we are at, yeah, below. All right, so we can now turn off the beacon lights. And now we can request the services. So we're going to go here to the services menu.
Boarding requested.
And deboard. I think it did it already automatically. All right. All right, so deboarding is now taking place. As you can see here. And we will turn off the passenger and non-smoking signs. And there you have it, ladies and gents. So, overall, my honest, unbiased opinion about the A321 by FSLabs. I think the sounds are a bit too loud here. So let me just go very quickly in the cockpit to give you my final remarks. So, in my opinion, the FSLabs A321 is an excellent add-on for Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. Like any other add-on, it has some strong points and some weak points. Overall, the fidelity of the system simulation is something I have a lot of appreciation for. If I'm to compare this with the Phoenix aircraft from the visual perspective, I think the Phoenix wins by a slight margin, especially when it comes to the detailed textures on the exterior model and some of the texturing in the interior. But I think that this aircraft is also been developed, modeled, and textured to a very high standard. In terms of the fidelity of system simulation, I believe this is a very accurate representation of the Airbus A321 systems, at least from my knowledge of Airbus and from doing extensive reading on the Airbus A320 manuals. I haven't, by the way, done a lot of research on the A321 per se, but Airbus pretty much operates in the same way. So in comparison to the Phoenix, I think this aircraft excels in some points. I think some of the aircraft systems are modeled more in depth. And I think overall, I think there are some areas where Phoenix excels, both in system simulation and in the exterior and interior modeling, but this aircraft doesn't lag much behind. So, and in some areas it actually excels over the Phoenix aircraft in terms of the system simulation. So overall, I'm very, very happy with my purchase from FSLabs. Now, on the issue that we've spoken about, the 2018 issue, where FSLabs made a bad call to deploy a malware in their installers, I think that FSLabs has made a bad call. I don't think that their intention was to harm any of us, though. I think the means were not justifiable for the purpose that they were doing this, but I think they have paid the price for that, and they deserve a second chance from the community. This is a very good add-on. You will definitely enjoy it a lot. So if you ask me for my recommendation, I definitely do recommend this. I do recommend this aircraft, and I think it's also priced reasonably well, considering all other add-ons in the flight sim market of this fidelity. I think the price is just right, and definitely recommend it. I give the aircraft a final score of 8 out of 10, and with that, this stream has come to a conclusion, ladies and gents. I hope that you've enjoyed it as much as I enjoy streaming it for you. I will see you again tomorrow evening. We will be flying the BAE, or the British Aerospace 146, from Auckland to Wellington in New Zealand. Well, this is it for this show, ladies and gents, and until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for tuning in, and have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye for now.